Once upon a time there were two brothers. The older brother was rich and the younger brother was poor. The older brother is a goldsmith, with a cruel personality. The younger brother makes a living by braiding brooms and selling them. The younger brother has twin sons. They are as similar as two drops of water. The two children occasionally visited their uncle and number 39's house, hoping to find some leftover food. One time, the poor younger brother went into the forest to chop firewood and saw a bird with shiny golden feathers that he had never seen before. He picked up a stone and threw it. Luckily it hit the bird, but only one yellow feather fell off, and the bird flew away. He picked up the feathers and brought them back to his brother. Looking at the bird and number 39's feathers, his brother said, "That and number 39's really gold." Then he paid his younger brother a lot of money to get the golden feather. One day, the younger brother climbed up a birch tree to cut branches for firewood, and saw the bird from the previous day flying from a branch. He immediately followed it, searched for a while and found a bird and number 39's nest, with a golden egg in the nest. He picked up the eggs and brought them home to give to his brother. The older brother said, "This is real gold," and charged the money to return his brother, but then continued, "I want that bird too." The younger brother went into the forest a third time, and again saw the yellow bird sitting on the tree. He picked up a stone, threw it down, and brought it back to his brother. The older brother paid the younger brother a large amount of gold. The younger brother thought, and quote, "Now I can live happily," and quote, and was very satisfied with the amount of gold he brought home. The goldsmith was greedy and mischievous. He knew the value of that bird. He called his wife and said, "Bring the bird in and roast it until it smells good. Remember not to lose anything. I want to eat the whole bird." This bird is not an ordinary bird, it is a strange bird. Whoever eats its heart and liver will become bright, and every time you turn the pillow over you will see a gold coin. After the wife plucked the feathers and slaughtered the bird, she stuck it on a skewer and put it in the oven to roast. Later, when she had to go out on business, her younger brother and number 39's two children went into the kitchen to watch the bird roasting. They turned the bird around a few times and saw two small pieces falling from the bird and number 39's belly into the basin. One of them said, "Two small pieces, no one will notice, let and number 39's eat. I and number 39's am very hungry." Each child picked up a piece to eat. In the meantime, the ant came into the kitchen, saw them chewing, and asked, "What are you two eating?" The two children said, "We ate the pieces that fell from the bird and number 39's belly into the pan." The heart and liver of a bird. The woman was so scared that she quickly killed a chicken, took the heart and liver and put it in the yellow bird and number 39's belly, so that her husband would not know what was missing and get angry. When the bird is cooked, the wife brings it to her husband. He eats alone with the whole bird, not leaving a single piece. Early the next morning, the husband put his hand under the pillow, thinking he would get a gold coin, but found nothing. The two children did not know that luck had come to them. Early the next morning, when getting up from bed, something suddenly fell to the ground with a clatter. They picked it up and found it was 2 gold coins. They gave money to Dad. Dad was very surprised and muttered, "Why is something so strange happening?" But the next morning he got 2 more coins, and it was the same every day. The younger brother went to visit his older brother and number 39's house and told him a strange story. The jeweler understood immediately, knowing that the 2 children had eaten the heart and liver of the golden bird. Being jealous and bitter, he wanted revenge, so he threatened, "You guys are playing with the devil, Don and number 39. Take the gold, and Don and number 39. Let them stay at home anymore." They were possessed by demons, and maybe he was harmed by demons too. The younger brother was frightened, even though his heart was in pain, but he had to lead the 2 children into the forest, sadly leaving them there. The 2 children ran around the forest, but could not find the way back. Each time I got lost deeper and deeper in the forest. Finally they met a hunter, who asked, "Whose children are you?" They replied, "We are poor broom braiders." Then they told the hunter that their father did not want to keep them at home anymore just because every morning there were 2 gold coins under their pillows. The hunter said, "Now, that is not bad, as long as you live honestly and are not lazy." This kind hunter, who had no children, saw 2 cute children, so he took them to his home and said, "I consider you children as my children and will raise them until they grow up." The 2 children learned to hunt. The gold coins still shine brightly. The hunter saves them for future use when needed. When they both grew up, one day their adoptive father took them both into the forest and said, "Today you guys will try shooting so I can hold a ceremony for you to officially become hunters." The 3 people hid, but after waiting, no animal came. Looking up at the sky, the hunter saw a flock of snow-white geese arranged in a triangle flying past. Uncle told the older son, "Shoot one from each corner and fall down." The older son shot the shot exactly as his father told him to. A moment later, there was another flock flying in a number 2 pattern. He told the second one to shoot one from each corner, one falling down. This guy shot just as his father told him to. Foster father said, "I officially declare that you are now real hunters." Immediately after that, the 2 brothers went to a deserted place in the forest to discuss and agree on something. At night, while sitting at the dinner table, the 2 children said to their foster father, "We will not eat unless you agree to give us one thing." My foster father asked, "If you have anything, just say it." The 2 children answered, "We have finished learning how to hunt. Now we want to test our skills with people, please let us go." The hunter happily said, "You guys talk like real hunters." The children and number 39's wishes are also the father and number 39's wishes. Just leave, you will surely be satisfied. On the appointed day, the adoptive father gave each child a good gun and a hunting dog. "I gave the gold that I had saved for so long to you to take with you as you wish." Uncle went to see his children off part of the way. When we broke up, he gave each person a shiny knife and said, "When you guys break up, each one falls, remember to stick this knife into a tree trunk. When returning, just look at the carved knives to know each other. Pull out the knife, if it and number 39's rusty, it means the absent person is dead. On the contrary, if you are still alive, your knife will shine brightly." The 2 brothers set out, arriving at a vast forest. They walked for a whole day without running out of forest. The 2 had to sleep in the forest and take dry food from the hunters to eat. They walked for the second day without getting out of the forest. "The food you brought is out of stock." He told me, "We have to shoot something to eat to relieve hunger." He loaded the gun, looked around, saw the rabbit running by. He immediately aimed the gun, but the rabbit cried, "Hunter, Don and number 39. Shoot." I and number 39. Pay with two little rabbits. It immediately jumped into the bush and released two baby rabbits. The little rabbit ran around and looked so adorable that the two brothers felt pity and could N&39 bear to kill it. They kept them, and the two rabbits ran very closely following their footsteps. A moment later, a fox crept up. The two brothers were about to shoot when the fox called out, "Hunter, Don and number 39. Shoot." I and number 39. Pay with two little foxes. The fox released two little foxes. The two brothers could not bear to kill them and let them go with the rabbits. Not long after, a wolf came out of the jungle. The two of them were about to shoot when the wolf cried, "Hunter, Don and number 39. Shoot." I and number 39. Pay with two wolf cubs. The two of them let the wolf cub join the herd with the others. Immediately after that, he saw the bear again, and the bear cried out, "Hunter, Don and number 39. Shoot." I and number 39. Pay you with two bear cubs. The two cubs joined the others, the herd now numbering 8 cubs. Do you know, what was the last animal they encountered? The lion slowly walked forward, it shook its mane, but the two hunter brothers did not flinch. They raised their guns and aimed straight at the lion, intending to shoot. The lion quickly cried, "Hunter, Don and number 39. Shoot." I and number 39. Pay with two lion cubs. It released two lion cubs. Now the two hunter brothers have a pair of lions, a pair of bears, a pair of wolves, a pair of foxes and a pair of rabbits as their servants. Now they felt hungry again, so they told the fox, "Hey, you two clever foxes, let and number 39 find something to eat." The fox replied, "Not far from here, there is a small village. We once went there to steal chickens, let us show you where." The two men went to the village to buy food for themselves and for the animals. The two foxes knew this area so well that they immediately pointed out places where they could find food. The whole group of people and animals wandered around for a long time without finding a place with work for the whole group. The two hunter brothers discussed, "There is no other way but to split the group up, each group going in its own direction. Each group has a lion, a fox, a bear, a wolf and a rabbit." The two brothers said goodbye to each other, promised to keep their brotherly love forever, stabbed their foster father into a tree, then one went west, the other went east. The younger brother led his herd of animals to a certain town, with black silk hanging everywhere in the town. He entered an inn and asked the innkeeper if there was a place for his animals to stay. The innkeeper pointed to the animal cage. There was a hole in the cage wall, so the rabbit immediately crawled out to eat white cabbage. The fox went out and found a hen. After eating it, he also ate the rooster. Large animals like lions, bears, and wolves could not enter the cage, so the owner led them to the nearby grass where there was a dairy cow. The other three immediately ate the cow. After taking care of the animals, the hunter asked the innkeeper why mourning ribbons were hung in the city. The innkeeper said, "Tomorrow the princess will die." The hunter asks, "So she is deathly ill?" The innkeeper replied, "No, she is healthy and happy, but she will have to die." The hunter continued to ask, "Why did such a thing happen?" In front of the city gate is a high mountain. A dragon lives there. Every year we must give it a beautiful girl, otherwise it will wreak havoc across the country. Many beautiful girls in the city have already sacrificed themselves to him. But now only the princess remains, so he must sacrifice her to him. Tomorrow is the day to do it. The hunter asks, "Why dawn and number 39? You kill the dragon." The innkeeper replied, "Oh my God, of all the knights who went there, no one returned." The king promised that whoever could kill the dragon would be his son-in-law, and after the king died, he would be crowned king. The hunter said nothing more. That morning, he quietly led the animals up the high mountain. On the mountain there is a church. At the altar there are 3 full glasses of wine and the words, "And quat. Whoever drinks all 3 glasses of wine will become the strongest person in the world and can wield the sword buried under the doorstep." And quat. He did not drink, but went out to search. He could not lift the sword, so he had to go back to drinking. After drinking alcohol, his body became stronger and he lifted his sword, gently swinging it. When it was time to hand the princess over to the dragon, the king, marshal and courtiers saw her off. The hunter stood on the mountain. The princess thought she was a dragon, so she refused to go. Thinking of the fate of the whole city, she had to step forward, her steps heavy. Feeling infinitely sad, the king and his servants returned. The marshal had to stand there to witness from afar what was about to happen. Reaching the top of the mountain, the princess saw that it was not a dragon but a hunter. He comforted her, said he would save her, then led her into the church and locked the door. A moment later, there was a violent sound of wind blowing, then a 7-headed dragon appeared. It was surprised to see the hunter, so it asks, "What are you standing on the mountain for?" The hunter replied, "I want to compete with you." The dragon said, "So many knights have died here. Probably the same for you." All 7 dragon heads were spitting fire. The dry grass caught fire. Luckily some of his animals could run to put it out, otherwise he would have died in the fire and smoke. The dragon rushed towards him, swung his sword and cut off 3 of the dragon and number 39's heads. Enraged, the dragon soared up, spitting fire and at the same time intending to crash down. The hunter swung his sword and cut off 3 more heads. The exhausted monster fell down. It wanted to rush forward. The hunter used all his remaining strength to cut off its tail. He did not fight anymore, so he called his animals to tear the dragon to pieces. Defeating the dragon, he opened the church door and saw the princess lying on the ground. The sound of the fierce wind and the sound of the sword made the princess fall to the ground in panic and fainted. The hunter helped her out. When she regained consciousness and opened her eyes, he showed her the dragon and number 39's corpse and said she was freed. The princess was very happy and said, "Then you will be my dear husband, because my father promised to marry his daughter to the person who can slay the dragon." She took off the coral necklace she was wearing around her neck and shared it with the animals to reward them for their efforts. The lion got the golden lock. The handkerchief with her name embroidered on it was given to the hunter. He then cut off the 7 tongues of the 7 dragon heads, wrapped them in a towel and kept them carefully. Because of the fire and fierce fighting, he was now tired. He said to the princess, "We are both too tired, let and number 39's sleep for a while to regain our strength." The princess consented. The two of them leaned back and lay on the ground. He told the lion, "You should guard Dawn and number 39. Let anyone violate us while we sleep." Two people sleep. The lion lay next to the two people to keep watch, but he was also very tired, so he called the bear and said, "You lie next to me. I need to get some sleep. If something happens, wake me up immediately." The bear lay next to the lion, but because he was also tired, he called the wolf and said, "You lie next to me. I need to get some sleep. If something happens, wake me up immediately." The wolf lay next to the bear, but because he was also tired, he called the fox and said, "You lie next to me. I need to get some sleep. If something happens, wake me up immediately." The fox went to lie next to the wolf, but because the fox was also tired, he called the rabbit and said, "You lie next to me. I need to get some sleep. If something happens, wake me up immediately." The rabbit lay down next to the fox again, but the poor rabbit himself was tired and had no one to ask to help him watch. It fell asleep. The princess, the worker, the lion, the bear, the wolf, the fox, and the rabbit were all fast asleep. The marshal was still watching from afar, but did not see the dragon carrying the princess flying up. Seeing that the mountain was still quiet, he boldly went up. When he arrived, he saw the dragon cut into several pieces, his body lying on the ground. Some distance away, the princess, the hunter and some animals were sleeping soundly. Being an evil and cunning man, he immediately pulled out his sword and beheaded the hunter, then he carried the princess down the mountain. Waking up, the princess was startled in fear. The marshal said, "Now you are in my hands." She must say, "It was I who killed the dragon." The princess replied, "I won and number 39. Say that, because the responsibility for killing the dragon belongs to the hunter and the animals." The marshal pulled out his sword and threatened that if she did not listen, he would kill her. The princess had to accept. Immediately after that, he took her back to meet her father, the king. The king was extremely happy to see his daughter return when he was convinced that his beloved daughter had been torn apart by monsters. The marshal said, "I killed the dragon, saved the princess, and rescued the country from destruction. So please, Your Majesty, let me marry her as you promised." The king asked the princess, "Is that true?" The princess replied, "Oh my God, that could be true, but I would like to wait another year and 1 day before the wedding." She hoped that during that time she could get news about her beloved hunter. The animals were still sleeping soundly next to their dead owner. Suddenly a bee flew and landed right on the rabbit and number 39's nose. The rabbit raised his paw to brush it off, then continued to sleep. The bee flew a second time, the rabbit brushed it off, then went back to sleep. The bee flew a third time and stung the rabbit and number 39's nose. The rabbit woke up startled. Fully awake, the rabbit woke up the fox woke up the wolf woke up the bear woke up the lion. Waking up, the lion saw that the princess had disappeared and the boss was lying there dead. It roared throughout the area and shouted, "Who did this? Bear, why didn't an #39 you wake me up?" The bear asked the wolf, Why didn't and #39 you wake me up? The wolf asked the fox, Why didn't and #39 you wake me up? The fox asked the rabbit again, Why didn't and #39 you wake me up? The poor rabbit didn't and #39 know how to answer, so the blame fell on him. The other animals were about to rush in and pounce on the rabbit. The rabbit begged, Don and #39 kill me, let me bring our master back to life. I know a mountain where there are tree roots. Just suck on that root and any illness or injury will be cured. But the mountain is 200 hours away by road. The lion said, Give me 24 hours to go and return and bring that root here. The rabbit jumped and ran away immediately. Exactly 24 hours later it brought back that tree root. The lion clasped his master and #39's head, and the rabbit stuffed tree roots into his master and #39's mouth. Soon the head was right with the body, the heart beat again, and the dead man came back to life. When he woke up, the hunter saw that the princess was missing and panicked. He thought to himself, Maybe she took advantage of the time I was sleeping and ran away, leaving me here. Because he was in a hurry, the lion clasped his head in opposition to his owner. The owner was so busy thinking about the princess that he didn't and #39 notice it. At noon, when he was about to eat, he realized his head was tilted back. He didn't and #39 understand why. So he asked the animals what happened while he slept. The lion said that at that time they all fell asleep because they were tired. When they woke up, they saw that their master was dead, their head separated from their body. The rabbit went to get the elixir, but in his haste, he put his head in the wrong direction. Now it wants to correct that shortcoming. Then it tore off the hunter and #39's head, turned it back to the right direction, and the rabbit took the tree root for its owner to suck on to heal it. The hunter was very sad. He traveled here and there, teaching animals to dance to entertain people. By chance, exactly 1 year later he returned to the city, where he killed the dragon and saved the princess. This time, I saw red flags all over the streets. He asked the innkeeper, So, how is it, innkeeper? Last year, the streets were filled with black flags. Why do we see red flags this year? The innkeeper replied, Last year, our king had to surrender the princess to the dragon. The marshal fought with the dragon and killed it. Tomorrow is her wedding day. That and #39's why last year the streets were hung with black ribbons to mourn, and today red flags are hung to celebrate. The next day was the wedding day. During lunch, the hunter said to the innkeeper, Boss, do you believe that today we will get bread from the king and #39's banquet table to eat here? The shop owner replied, If it and #39's true, I and #39'll give you 100 gold coins. The hunter accepted the bet. He also gave a bag containing 100 gold coins. Then he called the rabbit and said, Dear rabbit, you have the talent to run and jump. Go to the king and #39's banquet table and bring me some bread. The rabbit was the smallest of the animals, and could not command any of the others, so he had to run away. Rabbit thought to himself, God, if I run alone in the middle of the street like this, I might be chased by a butcher and #39's dog. It and #39's exactly as he thought. The dogs chased after it, intending to skin it. Did you know? The rabbit ran away and immediately disappeared into the guard tower without the soldier knowing anything. The dogs rushed to try to pull the rabbit out, but the guard thought the dogs wanted to play with him, so he got angry and hit the butts of his guns. The dogs barked loudly and ran away. Seeing that the danger was over, the rabbit immediately jumped into the castle. It went straight to the princess, sneaked under her chair, and gently scratched her leg. The princess thought it was her dog, so she scolded, "Will you go somewhere else?" The rabbit scratched her leg a second time, and the princess scolded her again, "Will you go somewhere else?" The rabbit was not confused at all, it scratched a third time. As she walked away, the princess looked down and noticed the rope tied around the rabbit and number 39's neck. The princess picked it up in her arms, brought it into the room and asked, "Dear rabbit, what do you want?" The rabbit replied, "My master is the dragon slayer, and is here now. The master sent me to ask for bread from the king and number 39's banquet table." The princess was very happy to hear that. She immediately called the baker in and ordered a whole loaf of bread, which the king often ate. The rabbit said again, "Please let the worker bring the cake out for me, so that the butcher and number 39's dogs will not dare to chase me." The baker carried the rabbit to the door of the inn. Then the rabbit hugged the bread with its front legs and walked on its hind legs, bringing the bread to its owner. At that time, the hunter said, "See, shopkeeper, those 100 gold coins are mine." While the innkeeper was still surprised, the hunter continued, "Yes, boss, the cake is already there. Now I want to eat the king and number 39's fried meat too." The shop owner replied, "Let and number 39's see how it goes." But the innkeeper didn't and hash 39 dare to bet anymore. The hunter called the fox and said, "Dear fox, please come and get the king and number 39's fried meat to eat for me." This red fox is more clever than a rabbit. It kept looking for a corner so no other dog could see it. It sneaked under the chair where the princess was sitting and scratched her legs. The princess looked down and noticed the rope tied around the fox and number 39's neck. She carried the fox into the room and asked, "Dear fox, what do you want?" The fox replied, "My master is the dragon slayer, and is here now. The owner sent me to ask for fried meat, which the king still eats." The princess called the chef, ordered him to make the king and number 39's favorite fried meat, and brought it to the door for the fox. The fox picked up the plate of meat, waved his tail to chase away the flies on the meat, and then brought it back to his owner. The hunter told the innkeeper, "See, boss, the bread and meat are already there. Now I want to eat the king and number 39's vegetables too." He called the wolf and said, "Dear wolf, please come in and get the king and number 39's vegetables to eat for me." The wolf was not afraid of anyone, so he went straight into the castle, to the princess and number 39's room. He gently pulled her shirt to let her come back. She recognized the rope tied around its neck, brought it into the room and asked, "Dear wolf, what does the wolf want?" The wolf replied, "My master is the one who killed the dragon. Now he has come here. He sent me to ask for vegetables, which the king still eats." The princess called the chef and ordered the king to prepare the same vegetable dish as the king used to eat and bring it to the door for the wolf. The wolf carried a bowl of vegetables and brought them back to his master. The hunter told the innkeeper, "See, boss, the bread, meat, and vegetables are already there. Now I want to eat the king and number 39's sweets again." He called the bear and said, "Dear bear, you like to lick sweets, please come and get the king and number 39's sweets to eat for me." The bear waddled into the castle. Along the way, everyone who saw him moved out of his way to let him go. At the guard post, the guards raised their guns to prevent them from entering. The bear jumped up and gave the soldier several slaps on the right and left cheeks. It knocked down the entire guard tower. Then the bear went straight to the princess, stood right behind her, growling softly. The princess turned around, recognized the bear, called it into the room and asked, "Dear bear, what do you want?" The bear replied, "My master is the one who killed the dragon, and is now here. The owner sent me in to ask for the sweets that the king used." The princess called the baker, ordered him to make the king and number 39's favorite cakes, and brought them to the door for the bear. The bear licked the sugar that fell from below all the way to the top of the cake, then he stood up and brought the cake back to his owner. The hunter told the shop owner, "See, boss, bread, meat, vegetables, and sweets are all there. Now I want to drink the wine that the king often drinks." He called the lion and said, "Dear lion, you also like to sip some wine. Please go in and get the wine the king drinks and bring it back to me." The lion walks proudly in the middle of the road. Everyone who sees it runs away. Reaching the guard tower, the guards blocked its way. It roared loudly. Everything shot everywhere. The lion came to the princess and number 39's room, whipped his tail and knocked on the door. The princess came out and saw the lion. She was frightened, but she immediately recognized it thanks to the golden lock around its neck. She called him into the room and asked, "Dear lion, what do you want?" The lion replied, "My master is the one who killed the dragon, and is now here. The master sent me to ask for wine, which the king still drank." The princess called the sommelier and ordered the king and number 39's wine to be given to the lion. The lion said, "Let me go see if it and number 39's the right wine." The lion followed the servant down to the wine cellar. This person intended to take the wine for the servants. The lion said, wait until I taste it." The lion poured himself half a bottle and drank it all in one gulp. It said, "No, not this." The bartender glanced at the lion, then went to another wine barrel, intending to get the wine for the marshal. The lion said again, "Wait, let me taste it first." The lion poured himself half a bottle, then drank it all. It said, "It and number 39's better, but not yet." The bartender got angry and said, "You stupid animal, still talk about wine." The lion immediately slapped him on the back of the head, causing him to fall unconscious. When he woke up, he quietly led the lion to the king and number 39's wine cellar. The lion poured half a bottle again, tasted it and said, "Maybe this is the right thing." The lion asked the other guy to fill 6 bottles, then they went up together. When he got outside, the lion was a little drunk. The other guy brought the wine to the door for him. It took the basket of wine into its mouth and brought it back to its owner. The hunter told the innkeeper, "See, boss, the king and number 39's bread, meat, vegetables, sweets and wine are all there. Now we can enjoy it with the animals." He sat down to eat and drink, then shared the food with the rabbit, fox, wolf, bear, and lion, who ate and drank together. He saw that the princess still loved him, so he was very happy. After eating, he said, "Boss, I have eaten and drank like a king. Now I want to go to the palace and ask to marry the princess." The shop owner said, "How could that happen? The princess already has a place. Is there a wedding today?" He pulled out the handkerchief that the princess had given him on the Dragon Mountain before, the handkerchief that wrapped the monster and number 39's 7 tongues. He said, "I have this thing in my hand. It will help us in that." The shop owner looked at the towel and said, "Other things can be believed, but I Don and number 39 dare believe this. I and number 39 am willing to bet on the house and garden." The hunter took out a bag with 1,000 gold coins and placed it on the table, then said, "I also bet on this gold." In the palace, the king asked the princess, "The animals keep going in and out of the palace. What is the matter with them coming to you?" She replied, "I Don and number 39 dare say that. Please send someone to call their owner here, then you will understand." The king sent his servants to the inn to invite the strange man. The servant arrived just as the hunter made a bet with the innkeeper. At that time he said, "You see, boss, the king sent his servants to invite me, but I haven't and number 39 gone anywhere yet." He told the servant, "Go back and tell the king to send me royal clothes and give me a 6-horse carriage and a number of servants." The king was informed and asked the princess, "Father, what should I do now?" The princess replied, "Please call in and provide everything as you requested. Father will be pleased with that." The king ordered royal clothes and a 6-horse carriage to be given to him, and a number of people to serve him. Seeing the group of people coming, the hunter said to the innkeeper, "See, boss, so I was summoned to the palace according to the ceremony I requested." He dressed in royal clothes, carried a dragon tongue-wrapped towel, then got into the carriage to visit. Seeing him coming, the king asked the princess, "How should I receive him?" She replied, "Please come out to welcome me, it 1 and number 39 be in vain." The king came out to welcome him in, and the animals also came in. The king instructed him to sit between the king and the princess. The marshal sat in the groom and number 39's chair on the other side so he could not recognize him. 7 dragon heads were put on display. The king said, "Today I am marrying my daughter to the marshal as a reward for cutting off these 7 dragon heads." The hunter immediately stood up, opened each dragon and number 39's head one by one and asked, "So where are the 7 dragon tongues?" Frightened, the marshal turned pale, not knowing how to answer now, but he tried to say boldly, "Dragons Don and number 39 have tongues." The hunter said, "Only deceitful people have no tongues. And the dragon tongue is a witness to the winner." He opened the package and saw 7 dragon tongues. He attached his tongue to each dragon and number 39's head. And sure enough, they all matched. Then he showed the princess the scarf embroidered with her name and asked who she gave that scarf to. The princess replied, "For the person who killed the dragon." He called the animals one by one, untied the rope around their necks, and removed the golden lock from the lion and number 39's neck. He gave it all to the princess and asked whose it was. She replied, "These neck chains and golden buckles belong to me. I divided them among the animals to reward the public for their contribution in slaying the dragon." Then the hunter said, "After fighting the dragon, I was so tired that I fell asleep, and at that moment the marshal came and beheaded me. Then he took the princess away and impersonated himself as the one who killed the dragon. The princess and number 39's tongue, strings and handkerchief are proof of his deception." Then he continued to tell the story of how the animals searched for the roots of the tree of immortality to save him. For the past year, he had been wandering to different places, then finally returned to this place. Thanks to the innkeeper telling him, he learned about the marshal and number 39's deception. The king asked the princess, "Is it true that this person killed the dragon?" She replied, "That and number 39's right. Now I dare to speak publicly about the marshal and number 39's dirty crime. If you Don and number 39's say anything, it will be revealed. The marshal forced me to promise to keep it a secret. The reason why I asked to wait a year and a day for the wedding is also because of that." The king summoned 12 counselors to impeach him. The marshal was sentenced to be dismembered by 4 bulls. After sentencing him, the king let the hunter marry the princess. Appointed him as viceroy throughout the country. The wedding was held very solemnly. The viceroy sent someone to pick up his biological father and adoptive father and gave them a lot of treasures. The viceroy also did not forget the innkeeper, summoned him in and said, "Boss, see, I have married the princess. Your house and garden are mine now." The shop owner replied, "That is correct." But the young viceroy replied, "I give you leniency. The house and garden are still yours, and I and number 39'll give you another 1,000 gold." From then on, the viceroy and the princess lived happily and happily. According to his old hobby, he often hunts, and loyal animals often follow their owners. Nearby there is a forest. People say there are ghosts in the forest, because few people who go into the forest can come out. The young viceroy really wanted to go hunting in that forest. He kept insisting until the king gave permission. He got on his horse, bringing with him a very large entourage. Just entering the forest, he saw a deer with fur as white as snow. He told his followers, "Wait for me here. I want to hunt that beautiful beast." He spurred his horse to chase the deer, but only a few animals followed him. The entourage waited until evening but did not see the young viceroy return. They had to turn their horses back to report to the princess. The viceroy chased a white deer in the sacred forest and did not see anyone return. The princess was extremely worried about her husband. Meanwhile, he kept chasing the beast but could not keep up with it. Just when he saw that he was within range, it jumped further and finally ran away. Only then did he realize he had gone too deep into the forest. He raised the horn and whistled for a while, but got no response because no one could hear his sound. Darkness covered the whole forest. He felt he could not return in time. He got off his horse and went to a tree to light a fire, intending to spend the night there. As soon as he sat down by the fire, the animals also lay down around it. He felt like there was a human voice echoing back. He looked around and saw nothing. A moment later, it seemed like there was a groan coming from above. He looked up and saw a woman sitting on a tree branch. She groaned, Humph, 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 I and number 39, freezing all over. He said, if it and number 39's cold, come down here to warm yourself up. But she replied, just bear with it. Your beasts will tear me to pieces. He replied, old mother, just come down. They didn't and #39 do anything to mom. The old woman is a witch. She said, let me throw a stick down. Just hit them on the back with a stick and they won and number 39 do anything to you anymore. Then she threw down a small stick. He used a stick to hit the animals and number 39 backs. They lay still and instantly turned to stone. Not having to worry about the animals anymore, the witch jumped down, took a stick and hit him, turning him into stone. She howled with laughter, dragging him and the animals down into a hole that also had many petrified objects in it. The princess stayed at home waiting for him. After waiting for a long time, her husband did not come home, so she became even more afraid. Right at that time of anxiety, the brother who had gone east also came to this country. He could and #39 find a job, so he just wandered here and there, teaching animals to dance for fun. Suddenly he thought of the tree with a blade stuck in it when the two brothers parted ways to see how their brother was doing. When he got there, he saw the side of his knife, half of which was rusted, the other half was still bright. He became afraid and thought to himself, my brother must be in big trouble, but maybe he can still be saved because the other half of the knife is still lit. He quickly led the animals toward the west. When arriving at the city gate, the guards came out to ask if it was necessary to inform the queen. For the past few days, the queen had been very worried about the viceroy and number 39's absence, afraid that the viceroy had died in the sacred forest. The guards thought he was the young viceroy, because they looked so similar, and he also had a herd of animals with him. He knew immediately that the guard had mistaken him for his brother. He thought, it and number 39's best for me to accept it. That way it will be easier for me to save my brother. He let the guards lead him into the palace, where he was welcomed very happily. The princess thought it was her husband, so she asks, why have you been away from home for so long? He replied, I got lost in the forest. Search until you find the way out. At night he went to the viceroy and number 39's bed, but he placed a double-edged sword between himself and the princess. The princess didn't and #39 understand either, but didn't and #39 dare ax. He stayed a few days to find out information about that sacred forest, then he said, we must go there to hunt again. The king and princess intervened, but he still went and led a large entourage. In the forest, he saw a white deer. He encountered the same things as his brother before. He told his entourage, I want to hunt that animal. Please wait here until I get back. He rode his horse to chase his prey, and the animals followed him. He could not keep up with the deer in the deep forest. Without realizing it, darkness fell and he had to sleep in the forest. As soon as the fire was lit, he heard a groan above his head. Who, I and number 39's freezing all over. Looking up and seeing the witch sitting on a tree, he said, if it and number 39's cold, come down here to warm yourself up. She replied, no more, those animals will bite me to pieces. He said, they didn't and #39 do anything, Mom." She called down, "I throw you a whip. You give each of them a whip. Then they can and number 39 T do anything to me anymore." The hunter didn't and hash 39 T believe it. He said, "I Don and number 39 T hit my animals. Get down or I and number 39 LL drag you down." She shouted loudly, "What do you want? What can you do?" He replied, "If you Don and number 39 T come down, I and number 39 LL shoot you down." She said, "You just shoot, I and number 39 am not afraid of bullets." He loaded the bullets and shot her, but the bullets could not penetrate her body. She laughed loudly and shouted, "You didn't and hash 39 T hit me." The hunter suddenly thought of a way. He pulled 3 silver buttons from his shirt and loaded them into the gun. Thus, her evil magic will no longer be effective. When he pressed the trigger, she screamed and fell to the ground. He stomped on her and said, "You old witch, if you Don and number 39 T tell me where my sister is now, I will grab her and throw her into the fire." She was so scared, she begged for mercy and said, "You and the petrified animals are lying in a hole." He took her there, threatened her and said, "You old witch, now you must bring my brother and all these animals back to life. Either that or I throw you into the fire." She took the whip and gently hit the rock, and immediately his brother and the animals came back to life. Other people such as merchants, craftsmen, and shepherds also came back to life. They stood up and thanked him for saving them, then pulled each other home. Twin brothers meet again. They were very happy and hugged and kissed each other. The 2 brothers grabbed the witch, tied her up and threw her into the fire. The witch was burned to death. Immediately afterwards, the whole forest lit up, and the palace could be seen in the distance, only 3 hours away by road. Now the 2 brothers go home together. Along the way, we told each other our stories. Hearing his brother say that he was appointed to replace the king to rule the country, his older brother said, "I already knew that." When he entered the city, people mistook him for his uncle, so they welcomed him with all the royal ceremonies. The princess thought he was her husband, so he ate next to her and slept in the same bed as her. Hearing that, the younger brother became jealous, immediately pulled out his sword and cut his brother and number 39's head off his body. Seeing him lying dead, bleeding, at that moment my brother regretted it immensely. He exclaimed, "You saved me, but I killed you." And he wept bitterly. Seeing that, the rabbit ran over and said, "Let me go get the roots of the cabbage plant to revive it." Then the rabbit immediately ran to get it and returned in time. The dead man came back to life and was unaware of his wound. The 2 of them set off again. The younger brother said, "You look exactly like me. I also wore royal robes like you, and also had a few animals with me." Now each person entered the city through one gate, and from both sides came to the king and number 39's residence. The 2 brothers arrived at the 2 city gates at the same time. The guards at the 2 gates entered together to report to the king that the viceroy had returned with some animals to eat. The king said, "How could this happen? The 2 city gates are only an hour apart by road." At that moment, from 2 different sides, the 2 brothers walked to the dragon yard. The king asked the princess, "Please tell me who is your husband. This person is exactly like the other person, we can and number 39 tell the difference." The princess was frightened, not knowing what to say. She suddenly remembered the golden ropes tying the necks of the animals. She looked and saw that the lion had a golden lock around its neck. She was so happy, she shouted, "The person with this lion following him is really your husband." The viceroy laughed and said, "That and number 39's right." Everyone sat at the table, eating and drinking happily. That night, when the viceroy went to bed, the princess said, "Why did you put a sword in the middle of the bed every night before? I thought you wanted to kill me." Only then did the viceroy know his brother and number 39's heart. Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.